The time has come to move from discussions to negotiations. We've talked the talk. We now have to walk the walk to finish the round.
That was Pascal Lamy, Director General of the World Trade Organization, speaking in Geneva overnight at the latest round of WTO talks. Negotiations at the so-called Doha round of talks have dragged on for about 7 years as rich and poor countries fail to reach a compromise on reducing tariffs and subsidies. Our next guest remains sceptical about a successful outcome this time round. Sally James is trade policy analyst at the Cato Institute and joins us now live from Washington, D.C. And staying with us is our guest host, Arjuna Mahendran, Managing Director and Head of Investment Strategy for Asia at HSBC Private Bank, and joins us live from Hong Kong. Sally, if I can start with you, one of the things that's really interested me about the trade talks is whether this global crisis involving food shortages and soaring food prices, whether that has injected a new sense of urgency into these talks, or whether it's in fact had the reverse effect and polarized opinion.
No, I think you're right. It has injected not so much a sense of urgency, but it's changed the terms of the game. When this round was launched, one of the biggest problems was the rich country subsidies that were depressing market prices for agricultural products and thereby harming the terms of trade of agricultural exporting nations, many of which are developing countries. What we have now is the opposite effect. It's not all caused by trade policy, but now, as you mentioned, agricultural prices are relatively high. What that does is two things. First of all, it makes it easier for rich countries to be able to agree to lower the caps that they're allowed to spend on farm subsidies, because the amount they're laying out in these times of high prices are lower. So they're able to, if you like, politically agree to lower caps without necessarily giving up a whole lot of money they spend. The other thing that it's done is highlight to the world that the WTO round, if you like, is lagging somewhat behind the world economy. That is, that the sorts of things that are really adding to the high food prices, things like export restrictions and taxes, are not covered by the terms of this round.
Sally, hi, this is Arjuna from Hong Kong. Are you convinced that the European governments are really or do have the political will to cut these subsidies? Because, I mean, they may view these high food prices as just a transient phase in the global economy, and now that things are slowing down for the broad economy, we may see food prices subsiding next year. So are you really sure that they have that political mandate to go ahead and cut some of these subsidies?
You're right, Arjuna, to refer to EU countries, even though they negotiate as a bloc. It's quite well known that they all have different interests and different perspectives on this round. Certainly one of the things that is holding rich countries like the European Union and the United States back from offering more cuts to their allowable subsidies is the political fact, or the fear, that prices could go down again and then governments would be restrained in the amount of money it gives to its farmers. I think that's a good thing, but the farmers not so much.
Okay, Sally, we have to end it there. Thank you so much for joining us today. Sally James there from the Cato Institute talking about the World Trade Organization talks now.